getting answers for Western Massachusetts. This is Western Mass News on Fox 6.
Good morning, everybody. I'm meteorologist Dan Brown. Spring is certainly in the air this morning. Cold air will be coming, but for today, we're looking good. Full forecast coming up.
And not only is the cold air coming, looks like some snow is headed our way on Friday. I'm First Warning meteorologist Don Maher with the latest on that coming up.
The Springfield Police Department will be reorganized after a recent ruling by the state's highest court. I'm Amanda Callahan with the latest on that decision and how it impacts residents.
Plus, several cities across Western Mass are lifting their mask mandate. Find out where you'll be able to go maskless and when.
And later, details on a new proposed extension to a pedestrian trail in Westfield and what came out of a public meeting held last night.
But first, we're going to take a live look outside on this Wednesday morning, February 23rd. It's 8 o'clock right now. Good morning. Thanks for tuning in to Western Mass News on Fox 6. I'm David Horowitz.
And I'm Paris Dunford. Let's check in meteorologist Dan Brown for a look at today's warmer than normal forecast.
Yes, absolutely. Gray and mild this morning. We're at 53 in Springfield now. We're seeing a little bit of few breaks here in the overcast. And I think that's going to become a little bit more prevalent as the morning goes on, and temperatures will come up probably about 10 degrees to where we are now, and that's going to put us into the low to mid 60s. So what a day we have in store. A lot of clouds. We'll see more in the way of sun this afternoon, but that's when the cooler air is going to start to drain in, and that's when the wind is going to start to pick up as well. So the wind out of the south right now at about 5 to 15 miles per hour, because we had all that rain and wind last night, but now we're just left with a couple little spot sprinkles. Really, that's about it. As the front comes across around lunchtime, that's when the wind will start to pick up and we'll see the temperatures start to slide. But ahead of that, it is nice and mild to warm. 52 in Springfield, is 60 right now in New York City. The front off to the west, that cooler air will start to drain in this afternoon. So a lot of clouds this morning, little sun works in, temps in the low to mid 60s. By 2 o'clock, we're down to about 60, so still nice and mild. At 3, we're falling into the 50s, and by 5 o'clock, we're probably down around 50. Keep in mind, it'll be colder quicker across the hills and higher terrain. So really fabulous day today, but that wind's going to get a little strong in the valley to about 30 miles per hour, but in the hills, it could gust up over 50, and that's the reason the National Weather Service has a wind advisory set to go into effect later this morning through this evening for the hills and for Berkshire County. The cold air settles in, and then it's all about our storm on Friday. Well, the details on that with Dawn coming up in just a few minutes from now. Paris and David, back to you.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Dan. Turning now to a big story. The Supreme Court siding with the Springfield City Council over Mayor Dominic Sarno when it comes to the management of the Springfield Police Department.
Western Mass News reporter Amanda Callahan joins us live in Springfield with more on the major ruling. Amanda.
David and Paris, this has been a 6-year-long battle between the Springfield mayor and the Springfield City Council over how many people should be managing the Springfield Police Department. Yesterday, the state Supreme Court ruled in favor of reorganizing the police department to be headed by a 5-person board of commissioners. Since 2004, the department has been headed by a single commissioner, but prior to that, they had a 5-member police commission made up of Springfield City residents who work closely with the police chief. Western Mass News spoke with Springfield City Councilor Justin Hurst, who says city council members have been advocating to reinstate this type of commission for years.
We knew from the very beginning that this is what the court should rule. We knew when the Superior Court ruled that we had the power to organize the departments and that we had the power to create a police commission.
The Springfield Police Commissioner has the ability to hire, fire, and discipline police officers within the force, but that will soon change as Mayor Sarno says he will name a new 5-member board of police commissioners shortly. And coming up in the next half hour, I'll have reaction to this ruling from both the mayor and Springfield Police Commissioner Cheryl Clapprood. Live in Springfield, Amanda Callahan, Western Mass News.
All right, Amanda, thank you very much. On the COVID-19 front, the indoor mask mandate for the city of Springfield is set to be lifted on Monday. But that does not include Springfield Public Schools for now. After recording record high case numbers in January at 2,700 in 1 week, we have steadily declined now to 279 cases just last week. Health officials are still concerned about the young age groups, especially as kids are on vacation this week from school.
We will continue to do our vaccination clinics in the schools, and so we do not see this break as something that's transformed. We want to make sure that we continue the push that we've had prior to school break.
And while students are out on winter break, Bounce Trampoline Sports is holding a vaccine clinic. Kids 5 to 18 get a free 1-hour jump pass if they get a COVID shot. Colin Harris says that Monday was a success, vaccinating 80 people at the Bounce Clinic.
Well, in East Hampton, the Board of Health has voted to end the citywide mask mandate starting today. It's important to note the mandate in schools will still be in place when children return from February break. The Board of Health is leaving that removal of the mandate up to school officials. The next school committee meeting is set for March 8th.
And in Longmeadow, the health department voted to replace the current mask mandate with an advisory effective immediately. As for the schools, the school committee had already made up masking optional at the high school.
Well, over in Westfield, a public meeting was held virtually last night to discuss the potential extension of the Columbia Greenway Rail Trail. Now, during the meeting, they discussed 3 different proposals for potential paths the new trail extension could take. Among the 3 trails, Trail A is the preferred choice, running up Montgomery Street near Westfield High School and through the area around the Powder Mill and Armbrook Dams exit onto Southampton Road. This trail got 83% of residents' votes at last night's meeting, but some people are still not on board with the whole idea, citing safety concerns to do with speeding on Montgomery Road.
I'd be scared to death taking a young kid on the bike trail going up Montgomery Street.
You have a lot of dump trucks that go through there from the quarry. You're going to have a potential escape route for people to already go on their dirt bikes. The crime has increased in this area, and I think you're doing it in the wrong place.
City officials say they want to work with the public to find a solution. They also say this is not a done deal, and discourse will continue on this route as this trail extension is a multi-year process. Well, a man has been arrested in connection to a December homicide. Police arrested 33-year-old Jamel Nicholson on Sunday. He is charged with murder, kidnapping, and use of a firearm while being a felon. Back in December, hunters found the body of 32-year-old Raymond De La Cruz Batista in the Pittsfield State Forest. Investigation led to a warrant for Nicholson's arrest. He's being held without the right to bail.
The Northampton Police Department is using new technology to track speeding drivers. Traffic recorders have been posted up around the city. Highway Safety Patrol Officer Michael McLaughlin tells Western Mass News his department is addressing concerns brought to them by Northampton residents.
A lot of it are cut-through streets, but there are residential streets where citizens do complain, and then they do either contact us or they attend these meetings. There's been at times where people, they have the perception that vehicles are speeding, but after we set up this equipment, we find that it is not the case.
The department counted over 10,000 vehicles during a 9-day time frame in late November, averaging a speed of 27 miles per hour, with only 4% of the cars qualified for speeding violations. The recorders can store data for about 7 to 10 days before it's taken back to Northampton's Transportation and Parking Commission.
Well, all new next in Western Mass News, with more at-home COVID-19 tests becoming available. Find out how you can make sure the one you're getting is reliable.
Plus, jury deliberations are expected to begin this morning in the trial for the police officers involved with killing George Floyd in 2020. We have the latest from the courtroom when we come back.
And later, an update on the marijuana grow house operation that led to the arrest of 4 suspects yesterday.
And as we head to break, we're going to take a quick look at the roads. This is I-90 in Ludlow, all green over there. You should be fine if you're headed that way. And then going down south to I-91 southbound in Longmeadow. Similar situation, more cars out and about over there at 8:08 this morning. Our report brought to you by Genesis Northampton.
Welcome back. It is Wednesday morning, guys. We made it halfway through the week, and what a day to celebrate with warm weather.
Yeah, exactly. The warm weather was a great way to bring us halfway through the week.
Halfway through the week, and the time of year where the days are getting longer and longer. So I love to pull out this map, the sunrise sunset graphic, right? Sunrise came up this morning at 6:34, sunset at 5:32, closing in on 11 hours of potential daylight. We'll be there tomorrow. So we've gained a lot of time in the evening. Look at that, from 4:18 to 5:32, and in 2.5 weeks we're going to gain another hour because we set those clocks forward the weekend of March 12th and March 13th. By then the sun will be setting close to 7 o'clock. So although we have snow in the forecast, we know we are getting closer and closer to springtime, and it will certainly feel like spring today. It already is, in fact, with temps in the 50s. So today is going to be warm and windy. It'll be colder tomorrow, and that will set the stage for a snowstorm on Friday. So that cold air works in behind a front that moves through today. And so tomorrow we'll have high pressure for a little while, supplying us with the cold air, but high pressure will give way to a developing area of low pressure that are head our way. The main area of low pressure will move across New York and Pennsylvania, but a secondary will develop off the New Jersey coast that will lock in the cold air that, for the most part here, we are talking about it being a snowstorm for Western Mass, maybe just a little bit of sleet mixing in Hampden County. So right now we're at 53, opposite of that, right? We get some beautiful stuff out there. 53 in Springfield, 56 in Pittsfield, and the wind has been a little busy, but the wind is actually going to ramp up as we go into the afternoon, as it swings around into the northwest. It'll be between 10 and 20 miles an hour. Now in the valley, it'll gust to about 30 or 35, so put the trash can wind meter at a 2. However, in the hills and higher terrain, it could gust up to about 50, and that's where wind advisories are in effect starting later on this morning and going through this evening. So a couple little spritz and sprinkles out there. The clouds will actually give way to a little bit of sunshine, and we'll see temps come up into the low to mid 60s before the cold front goes through, which will happen right around the middle part of the day. You can see Buffalo at 34, Montreal at 34. So that colder air is coming, but we should get up into the low to mid 60s before that happens, and then we'll gradually slide as we go into the afternoon. So today's temps nice and warm. Tomorrow's temps are going to be back closer to where they should be for this time of year. We'll start with sun. We'll notice the clouds increasing in the afternoon. And of course, those clouds are going to lead us to our snowstorm. It looks like the snow will roughly begin between 3 a.m. and continue through about mid-afternoon. That's when I think we'll see the bulk of our accumulating snow, that 12-hour window. It'll be fluffy at first, and it will kind of take on more of a sticky component or nature to it by the tail end of it. It might mix with a little bit of sleet from Springfield south, but snowfall rates will be about 1 inch per hour with low visibility. So Friday morning at this time will be a lot different than the way it is now. And Dawn's been outside all morning long, enjoying, Dawn, the spring conditions, but we got big changes on the way. And, you know, we've been talking, Dawn, how the computer models have locked in on this storm a couple of days ago, and it still looks like it's pretty much on track.
Yeah, basically, I mean, the computer models have been fairly in agreement that we are going to be looking at a plowable snowfall for us here in Western Mass, but certainly going to be a different story on Friday morning compared to what we're dealing with here. Our storm system, though, really hasn't taken shape just yet. Moisture over Texas that's actually going to pick up some Gulf Coast moisture and then really blossom into that storm system that's going to bring the snowfall to us here in Western Mass on Friday. And as Dan mentioned, this is probably going to start in the pre-dawn hours Friday morning. So as we get towards our Friday morning commute, it's been snowing for a few hours. There's a few inches of snow on the ground. Friday morning's commute certainly will be impacted. Now, the question right now is does that mixing line, that line of sleet and freezing rain, actually push into lower portions of southern Hampden County? I mean, even if it does, and we get a little bit of mixing, it's really not going to bring the snowfall amounts down all that much. This is going to be a sizable snowfall for us here in Western Mass. And it's also going to be a situation where once the snow starts coming down, we're not talking about 4 to 6 hours and it moves on out. We're probably going to be looking at it snowing for about 12 hours or so. So this is going to be a fairly longer duration event compared to some of the other storms that we've seen earlier this winter. We do start to dry things out, though, later on Friday. But with that anticipation of the snow on the way, the winter storm watches, they're already up, not only for all of Western Mass, for a good portion of New England in general, going to see a sizable amount of snowfall from this latest storm system here. And as we go into as far as what we're looking at, as far as impacts, snow is going to be the main impact with this system. I mean, we're not so much concerned about winds. Winds may be up near 20 miles per hour, but that's really going to be about it. And no Arctic cold with this system, but it's certainly going to be cold enough that we are talking about snow throughout all of Western Mass. And Dan, you know, we've been watching it all week long. You mentioned that the computer models have been fairly in alignment with us getting snow with this system, but also fairly in alignment that some locations are going to easily pick up a foot of snow with this system.
And the areas that have the best chance, Donna, picking up the foot of snow would be the snow is a little bit lighter in nature, and of course where it's all snow, so the hill towns, the higher terrain of Franklin County, but 8 to 12 for a lot of us from Springfield to Holyoke to Northampton, and when we get a little bit of mixing, 4 to 8 inches. Then you get south of Hartford to Providence, out towards Plymouth, 2 to 4, down towards New York City, according to an inch or 2, and out of the Cape, where a good bulk of it might be falling in the form of rain. Of course, they'll have lower snowfall totals there. It'll wind down tomorrow evening. And then we should have a dry but blustery weekend, certainly feeling like February, but at least we should see a decent amount of sun over the weekend, especially on Saturday. Arctic front, though, arrives Sunday late, and that'll bring in cold and wind for the start of next week. All right, we'll see you in a few minutes. Hopefully, well, we will be back. Not hopefully, we are going to be back. Paris and David, back over to you.
All right, Dan, thank you. Months after the lack of COVID-19 test supplies caused an uproar, at-home test kits are